region's body and stakeholders. The assessment of the region professionalism should relate on the core services of the region rather than covering all kinds of activity. Professionalism also does not draw exclusively on technical consideration of the region business model and its resources. And finally, as a rule, performance measures should be chosen so that changes in regional performance can be attributed to its program and actual, which is causal link. So now that I am in the process of following the assessment of INTOSAI professionalism, in my opinion, I'm always considering what kind of link should professionalism have with capacity building, and should that be realized only to General Secretariat, or should that be broader? So the answer will be presented by Mr. Murad, so would you please take the floor?
Thank you, Haja. That should be, it's nice. Well, we will be starting with one core principle that we would like to share with you and put on the table so we can discuss this later if it is always possible. Building capacity should be threefold. I mean, there would be capacity of General Secretariat, which we are currently doing now in the INTOSAI General Secretariat. That would also cover INTOSAI committee and worker groups. And in addition to those two core principles, there would be development of capacity building of partnership. And this is we are also doing this presentation because we are convinced that in order to get really to a better level, a higher level of professionalization, we need to fund and to implement all these initiatives. And for that, of course, donors need to be involved. And this is why we consider share experiences and share points of view in this regard would be useful, insightful, and very much relevant for the region. Let's say we started at this step to update our business model, because as I mentioned as a starting point, any professionalization should be considered with regard to the business model. We came to the conclusion that our business model needs to be updated because it doesn't fit very well with the requirements set out within the framework. Some technical activities need to be taken into account, and this is what has led to an update of the business model. We started setting up within the General Secretariat what we call a technical task force. This technical task force has been newly implemented because before that, the INTOSAI did provide no technical services. It was just an administrative and financial focused administration. And this technical task force is composed of coordinator and project manager. We have, for the moment, 3 project managers who are respectively in charge of SDG, professionalization, and share information. Hajar is the one, the project manager in charge of professionalization. I'm just being coordinator within the INTOSAI General Secretariat. This is just underway. We are implementing this business model so we can have a mixed business model as compared to other regions. It is not, it doesn't really, we cannot compare it fully to what is really happening in INTOSAI because they have a broader and a larger technical team. It's not the same than INTOSAI, who in general doesn't provide technical services. And so this is a mixed business model based on, let's say, that give a direction for the plan and execution and the monitoring of the task force activities. The task force members are designated on a partial time basis through secondment from the SAI of Tunisia that hosts the INTOSAI General Secretariat. Requests for secondments from other Arab SAIs are underway. We are currently considering asking secondments from other Arab SAIs, and all secondments are totally free of remuneration charge. So we are not paid for that. because this is, let's say, a solution that the SAI of Tunisia has set up in order to move towards professionalization. In addition to setting up this new task force within the Arabuzai General Secretariat, we also developed and worked on leveraging cooperation with other regions, starting with the Afrozai, and this is why a memorandum of agreement with Afrozai was signed in 2016, when we organized a study visit to the Executive Secretariat. Mrs. Macy has kindly hosted us last year, and it was very insightful study visit. We organized also joint scientific event on professionalization and audit of SDG, which was held on March 2018 on the sideline of the Arabuzai Governing Meeting, and we took this as an opportunity to share with the Arabuzai Governing Board members how important is to move towards professionalism based on building on let's say benchmarkings with other INTOSAI regions. We are now currently organizing a quality assurance and audit of SDG with Afrozai. Donc these activities are on progress, and we are setting up information share initiative with Afrozai Executive Secretariat, which is also on being operationalized. It's hard to say. In addition, we are now moving to leveraging partnership with IDI. IDI has been for years a key partner for Arabuzai, of course, as it is like many other regions, and Arabuzai IDI activity have been also very helpful to Arabuzai in terms of as many activities have been implemented since the creation of IDI in the region. I can just state for the record some of them: strategic planning program, the quality assurance program, and the 3I program. Working on enhancing relationship and partnership with IDI, starting with signing agreements to ensure a good quality of delivery of IDI training activities in the region. We are setting up small focus group that Hajar has explained before, so we can set out detailed terms of reference and framework against which Arabuzai assessment would be conducted. And now we are moving towards closer collaboration with, between Arabuzai General Secretariat and IDI on technical issue, and a second agreement is underway to be signed in the coming days. We are also working on improving quality reporting by providing SAI with short and insightful reports on the General Secretariat activities, study visits, joint events, INTOSAI meeting, workshops. We are setting out thematic regional reports. We already are finalizing a report on responding to the expectation resultant from the Agenda 2030, and we are striving to provide Arabuzai regional committees and working groups with follow-up short reports that contain technical updates. Arabuzai is also developing initiatives for sharing information, and these are three main initiatives: how to maintain the Arabic version of the IDI KSC portal, how to develop bilateral information sharing with Afrozai, and how to develop regional sharing information process on SDG within the region. All these initiatives will allow the region to use the KSC INTOSAI portal for purposes as far as possible and build a new attractive website for core issues regarding the region. So the portal would be useful for the Arabuzai, and lately we had 3 weeks ago, we had a call conference meeting with Ms. Tiwari with the involvement of Afrozai, where we discussed how we can use community of practice to share information within the region and with the other regions. And the portal seems to be very useful for this sort of initiative. Now, I'm just arriving at the final point of our presentation. We are working also on region-based training innovation, and what we are currently doing right now is the Arabic Capacity Building Committee sends out questionnaire to sites, inviting them to express training needs. And based on this questionnaire, the committee sends out a 3-year training plan. Updates are then brought to the training plan on a yearly basis, and of course, INTOSAI is currently conducting and implementing collaborative audit experience. This is what is really being done right now. But we are currently setting out a new process in terms of a comprehensive needs-driven process, and maybe we'll be moving to opportunity-driven process based on what Jens has presented yesterday. So we are using quality assurance review, PMF gaps, technical updates from INTOSAI committee. These are the tools that we are considering using to identify sign needs, and then as response to these needs we'll be, of course, providing face-to-face training and e-learner training so we can address size needs. This is just the final key issue that I would like to share with you. Noting that, because we couldn't, of course, put all details in this presentation, we set out a specific report in narrative form, dealing in more details with all these aspects, and we will be distributing this report on hard format at the desk in the tea break. So would like to invite you to take the time to take a copy of this report, which would be sent to you on a soft format. Take a look on this document, and it is more detailed and it is written in narrative form. And I would like to invite you, maybe if you could make time, you can make time to provide us with any comments or feedback from your perspective, so we can learn from each other, because this is the best way to move towards professionalism, which once again, a journey that might take time, and I'm sure it would take time in the INTOSAI context. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Murad and Hajer, for sharing with us your lessons in a very exciting journey you have started. You said you were halfway, and I think we will look forward to hearing more about the actual results. And I was very encouraged to see that you are determined to measure progress on the way, and having identified results both on the SAI level and on the ARABOSAI level. It was also very encouraging to hear that you actually practice to walk with you in this on this journey. We talked yesterday about grasping opportunities, and this is, I think, a very good example of being able to grasp opportunities out there. Finally, I noted on your second last slide, the site PMF, that now has come to a practical use in identifying where there are gaps. And that was really one of the purposes of developing that model, to have a good way of measuring and understanding our own weaknesses and our own gaps. You mentioned, Murad, that you will have a hard copy of a report out there. There might be questions or comments from the floor or points of clarification, so I leave the floor open for if there are any immediate reactions from the floor or comments to Murad and Hajer. If not, Kimi.
Thanks very much, Magas. And I'd also like to welcome the presentation of ARABOSAI region. There was a slide, I think slide 29, which speaks to the region's needs-based training interventions. And I know that the option to possibly abandon needs-based training is largely influenced, as you said, by the presentation we got yesterday. And perhaps this is not just a question to you, but I'm interested now that we warmed up to the idea of an opportunity-driven approach. How, from a process point of view, would that be different? Because you are describing the process currently in terms of the status quo, that you send out a questionnaire where people identify their training needs over 3 years. So it can easily be a kind of a mind-dumping exercise, if you like, where you offload most of the things that you aspire to be trained on. But if it were to be an opportunity-driven approach, how different would it be from a process point of view? I know that this is an ambush question because none of us have given serious thought to how such would work, but I would be interested from a discussion point of view, how different would, not necessarily the outcome of the issues for training intervention, but process itself, what would you be asking the member size to do in order to possibly get a sense of what their training interventions are going to be?
Well, thank you, Sidney. I see your point. I mean, I think that as Ina explained earlier in the session before the break, the lunch break, if we start using these tools, I mean, quality assurance review as a first basis, SciPMF, and technical updates from INTOSAI, which means that opportunity can just put into identified through these tools. SciPMF can give insights on which opportunities, size, and regions can have, because this is, as explained earlier, this is a comprehensive tool which can identify, of course, opportunity in this regard. INTOSAI is a source for opportunities because it has a global vision of what is really good for any SAI. So that would be a good thing if INTOSAI BAD is in charge of capacity development or so on. If these bodies can provide size with these opportunities, and region can take these opportunities as a certain point to work on, and then identify, of course, training or capacity building intervention. We are moving away from sending questionnaire. This is what we are looking forward to implementing. I mean, based on the quality assurance review, SciPMF, and technical updates, I think opportunities can be raised and identified, but this is the way that we approach these tools, which is to be changed. We have to look at these tools with, from the perspective of opportunities, instead of looking to them based on the needs. We, as a region, INTOSAI bodies also need to look at these tools with a new perspective, from new perspective based on opportunities. But I don't think there would be a different tool that we can use to developing or delivering trade. That's it. Is there any? Yeah. Auditor General of Sudan.
Yes, Malik.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank Brad for this excellent presentation. And as South Sudan is a member of ArabOSAI and also is a member of AfroSAI, we are quite happy to see this big step from ArabOSAI towards professionalism. And we used to share some of our experience with AfroSAI, with ArabOSAI, and I believe we'll continue to do this in the future. We are part of the INTOSAI, and surely we will share in this journey of professionalism. And South Sudan is looking forward to see the fruitful and the outcome of this initiative. Thank you very much.
Yes, I see Jacek from SAI Poland.
Just a simple question. Do you assess the success of your training activity somehow in particular members, SAI members, or if you have wider activity, the participants of such an activity?
Well, as Haja explained, we start from the CBC regional professionalism framework. And this framework identifies a number of activities that any region should implement and measure progress against, let's say, objectives set out in the OG. So we are not really, what is really most relevant for us as General Secretariat, and this is what we were discussing yesterday, and this is what we will keep discussing next week, which domain and which activity should be focused on, because as a professional, and this is, we need to discuss with all the relevant regional body to identify what are the most relevant, what are the most useful domain whose measurement in terms of progress would be useful for the region so it can achieve its objectives. For that, we need to discuss with regional bodies, within technical committees, within the General Secretariat, so we can set out 3 or 4 main activities that we need to focus on. But I think that the CBC framework is broad enough, and it covers all sorts of activities that any region is supposed to be implementing as an INTOSAI body. Macy.
Oh, Macy.
I was thinking, I was discussing with Macy as the AfroSAI experience was the first, as the basis that we used to start thinking about assessing our professionalism. And I think that many regions have already conducted professionalism assessment or performance assessment, and we started in designing our new framework, customized framework. We based our work on the AfroSAI experience, and we set out a number of challenges and lessons learned. I would like to have a feedback regarding these challenges, because as it is the first assessment ever that the region is going to conduct, based on the AfroSAI experience in this field, do you think that it's an easy thing to do, or it would take much more time than expected? Macy is asking for the mic.
Topic that's of interest. Can I get an indication from the groups in front of me?
Thanks, Mura, for putting me on the spot. From AfroSAI side, we have a self-assessment tool that we call the ICBF. We look at the 5 domains, and in terms of this tool, development gaps. So we do this on an annual basis, and what the governing board of the AfroSAI has agreed to
is to table what we call the State of the Region report. And this is a report which is quite transparent in indicating where the SAIs are in terms of capacity development. And of course, it's in their own eyes because it's a self-assessment tool. However, what we do is a quality assurance review at institutional level, which is done every 3 years at a SAI. And the results of this quality assurance review are then compared to the results of the ICBF to determine the correlation, because the quality assurance review is evidence-based and the products are also reviewed in terms of this process. And this is where we then confirm the needs that came out of the self-assessment report, and where we sort of strategize in terms of the areas that we have capabilities or capacity within the Secretariat to support the SAIs in the region. Obviously, you know, at institutional level for a SAI to operate accordingly, it requires a number of interventions, and we cannot, as a Secretariat, we cannot operate in each and every area. So we select the areas that we will operate in terms of these areas. And perhaps I need to also mention that at the previous governing board, our governing board reconfirmed their commitment to do a SAI PMF on a regular basis every 5 years, if I'm correct, to confirm what comes out of the quality assurance review process and the ICBF. And what I'm saying is that transparency in terms of the assessment is quite key to acknowledge and also demonstrate commitment in terms of correcting or attending and identifying the opportunities available to address the gaps that are identified through these tools. Whether it will take a long time or a short time, there are tools in the wheel. You can borrow from all of us and find an easy way to implement. But there's got to be a will within the region, within the SAIs, to participate. What we don't do, we do not publish the quality assurance review results, because those are the results for the SAIs that we deal with from SAI to SAI. The other thing that I want to share quite briefly is in terms of this professionalization project. And partnership is very, very key when you go into professionalization. And what we have currently done, we have partnered with the accountants general in the countries, because we have realized that if you professionalize the auditors only and leave out the accountants in the public sector, you are going to frustrate the auditors. So it's necessary that you partner with government for them to see the need to professionalize the public sector accountants. And the third leg of the partnership is with the professional accounting organizations, so that you can have that complete cycle of professionalizing for accounting and auditors within a country. So that's the key that I would like to share. And obviously there's other key partners that are necessary, but you definitely cannot do this outside the partnership agreements. You need to partner and identify key partners that are necessary. I hope that I've addressed what you have asked me to.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, this is very much insightful, and as I said before, AfroSAI experience has been very much useful for us, and as everybody knows it already, the main activities was really implemented after we started cooperating with AfroSAI. I thought someone raised his hand. Yeah, yes, please.
I have have a question regarding that. You mentioned identify size needs. You're using the tools of quality assurance review and SAI PMF gaps.
Yeah.
All the member of ArabSAI or ASOSAI or AfroSAI conducting the quality assurance review and SAI PMF gaps or no?
Well, actually, regarding SAI PMF, a few, the NCA, INA, can maybe provide insights in this regard. We are about to have the final report ready, and I think that we, the SAI of Tunisia, went on the main steps regarding implementing the SAI PMF, and the CBC at the regional level, ArabSAI CBC, is working on encouraging a number of other SAIs in implementing the SAI PMF. And this is, of course, something that is on progress. And all the activities that I described in the presentation are, of course, underway. And everything is going to be, we are going to make progress in a way that at the end will be all activity will be, let's say, leading to a final outcome, which is to better improve the regional professionalism of the ArabSAI. Regarding quality assurance review, now we are setting up a regional quality assurance team, which would be doing and going on the field to see whether or not any SAI is really implementing the quality assurance process and all the requirements set out in the INTOSAI best practices. And these are supposed, of course, as I mentioned, we are in the middle of the design and planning phase, and this is why we are addressing also to donors, because we think that partnership with donors should be developed in order to make all these initiatives happen. This is very important for us. I mean, as a response to your question, a few number of SAIs are conducting SAI PMF. Quality assurance review is underway, but by the end, of course, of maybe current next year, we'll be having all these implemented. And for that, we're looking forward to developing partnership with donors. And this is a good opportunity for us as we address to attendance, including donors, to see to which extent we can go forward and having all these happen.
I think we have.
Yes, please.
I'm on time. Do you have?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm from the UK National Audit Office.
Yeah.
About the difference between opportunities and needs-based. And just to offer a bit of experience we've had in the UK, which I'm not suggesting is good practice, it's just our experience so far. Where we've found opportunities, and it's maybe one of the blue boxes that could be on this slide here, is about looking at what our government is doing and where our government is investing in developing its own capabilities. And the reason I say that is that for us to audit what the UK government is doing, we need to also have the same skills, maybe even better. So an example I'd give you would be something that I know everybody's talked about, which is around data analytics. So as the UK government moves more and more digital and starts using a lot of very, very complicated algorithms, a lot of complicated techniques, we too have to develop that capability in order for us to interrogate what they're doing and come to some judgments to help Parliament hold them to account. So that's where, Kimi, I think we've seen this idea of opportunity, looking at what our government is doing, where they're developing skills, and then using that to drive our own skills development. I hope that was relevant. I missed this morning's session.
As you are explaining your own UK experience, we, as a group at least, we're struggling having a clear definition of opportunities. Of course, we followed the presentation of Jens yesterday, but do you have maybe some more details about what is really opportunity as compared to need? What does that mean in practice? I mean,
I don't think that the two are mutually exclusive. I think opportunity should lead to need, if that makes sense. So, for example, if we see out there that there are skills or experience that our office does not have yet, because there's new techniques, new technology, new priorities, then that will then feed into our own needs assessment. But it's about scanning what techniques and skills are out there that we might want to bring into our own needs assessment. That to me is where I think it's not separate, it's actually just part of the same journey.
Thank you. Have we run out of time?
I think we have exhausted the questions from the floor, and thank you all for contributing and sharing. We seem to return, which I think is still continue to touch upon during the rest of both today and during our discussions tomorrow. Thank you again, Murad and Hajer, for sharing your. Sorry.
Well, just one last word. I mean, I would like to just to inform the donors representative that we will be managing private meetings, so we can go into details based on this document that we prepared on narrative basis. So I would like just all the donors representative to take a look on this document. I will be coming towards you and see to which extent we can discuss it in more details. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Hajer. That was a word to our potential sponsors to meet with Hajer during coffee breaks and lunch breaks and what have you. Now we are coming to tea or coffee, depending on your choice. It's served as usual outside. We should